everyone. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Humanity podcast. We have Lorae here. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And today's topic is From Creativity to Capital. We'll be talking about brand, business, building influence, building communities, events, very interesting topics. Every entrepreneur has a moment when creativity becomes a business. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Creativity becoming a business. Well, I think so. I have a platform. I'm quite a creative individual, I like to think. I'm a water sign, a Scorpio, and I have a Jamaican heritage. So naturally, there's a rhythm, there's a music to
Vibe.
everything that I do.
Vibe
There's a
too.
vibe. So
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
has to have a little
You
bit
have
of a
that
vibe to
vibe.
it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the platform that we've met through is Web3 Demo Day, where we showcase the next unicorn companies in emerging tech to sophisticated investors. And, really, I've been working with startups in different capacities since I left university. I started working in the enterprise department at the University of Essex. And then I worked with independent serial entrepreneurs, helping them with their new ventures. I came across the Web3 industry back in 2019. This was when everything was very exciting. It was definitely a number go up situation.
Yeah, and
right?
with Web3, it was like hype.
It was the
That
hype.
was the hype.
It
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
hyper cycle. So I got involved in that space, and I mean the bubble burst by 2022. The number wasn't gonna keep going up, but I didn't want to leave the Web3 industry, and so I took my creative skills, I took my understanding of startups and my love for Web3, and I kind of married them all together, and I started working directly with tech startups. So what I found in the tech world, especially in the Web3 industry, is that tech founders, they wanted one of two things. They either wanted developers who could build blockchains, or they'd access to capital.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm not going to learn to code a blockchain anytime soon, but I have a network of investors that I can do some introductions for. So I found that I was doing introductions, and obviously I was coming from a bit of a different background, working in university and also having events on the side that I did anyway in entertainment industry. And I thought, all these, bringing people together through emails and sending pitch decks, this isn't working. This is just such a boring way of connecting people together.
Why don't I do events?
Exactly. So that's how the creativity. So I said,
Okay.
how can I create something that brings people together? It's still serious business, right? It's still good companies. It's still accredited, sophisticated investors, but create something where there is a connection. And that's the thing for me. I value, my love language is quality time, right? So I like to create something that has an experience behind it, and people can feel and go away and remember. So really that was the turning point for me.
And what's interesting is I released my last book, Women, and I also have this project called Woman 2.2 Next Level Women, and I usually speak about the fact that we women are like space holders. We like hold the space. And interestingly enough, when I was a jury member at your event, I could just literally feel you holding the energy of the space. It's like, and that's really powerful. I think beyond everything you're doing, you're holding the space for that to happen. And like you said, I have met some amazing individuals over there, and great founders, entrepreneurs, also investors, and I think by holding that space with your creative energy, with your light and with your color, it has a different vibe. I mean, that's what I recognized in the event. The event had a different vibe and different.
Well, I'm glad.
Beautiful.
I'm glad you recognize that, because I do feel, and this is something as an entrepreneur why I'm not afraid of people coming into the event or seeing the event and trying to copy it, because I know that as the event creator with that feminine energy, all of that energy is coming from what I have created.
Who you are, and you're holding the space. That's your space. That's your platform, and it's very different than anything I have ever experienced. And I don't know if you've heard of it before, but that's brilliant.
Thank you.
What early experiences shaped your desire to build something of your own? Because building something of our own is a different story. It's like it needs that courage and, stepping up, and we're
absolutely.
like the brave individuals as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been entrepreneurial. So, growing up at school, I was always the kid who had some sort of business on the playground.
Okay, nice.
So I remember my first business was I had a hair salon. So I have, like I said, I have a Jamaican heritage, but I grew up in a small town, Colchester, shout out Colchester. And so, predominantly we used to have braids in our hair, and the children necessarily are British. They had just had, this kind of hair that had So my salon was about braiding. And they would pay me like 10p, 20p to braid their hair. And then I had staff as well, and they had name badges. I would teach them how to do their hair. Nice. Unfortunately, that business got shut down by the playground monitors. They said you can't be running a business on this school on the playground. But that was kind of like, I just had that in me from very young. And then, when I went to high school, I was the kid who was buying the lollipops and selling the lollipops. And, it's very much just about understanding, what do people want? I think from that, the lollipop sales and the drink sales was understanding what did people want, and then also buying low and selling high. So I've always been a numbers person in that sense. I've always found it very fascinating how I can have something and then multiply it into something else, right? That kind of alchemy around finance.
Yeah, and I think you're just reflecting that to the platform right now. Your personal brand now is being reflected. And when did you realize that your personal brand could be a powerful, brand for business, and it could be a way to create a powerful platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I grew up in the age of where the internet was just starting to take off. And, we had like Facebook, Bebo, and this kind of thing. So I kind of grew up in my teens understanding social media. But I think as I got into my 20s and now in 30s, it's become very prominent that you need a personal brand, especially as an entrepreneur. So I've always been interested in like, okay, how can I build a brand that's me? Because I can't change my personality. I can't fake it. I have to just be myself. So I think the turning point for me was, first of all, I tried building a personal brand in other different elements. I tried it in just like my daily life. I tried it when I was like a London it girl, just partying. That was a personal brand.
I remember talking about this.
Right. So, and then I pivoted to like, I went through it after my daughter. I had a bit more of a spiritual journey. So I tried to personal brand that. And then it wasn't really until I came across Web3 and I understood how much content there was in the space in terms of new projects being made and people wanting to learn about cryptocurrency and new things
coming
together. So I thought, actually, I can use my personality and also educate people about the space. And that actually became very, very prominent. So I had a 60-second segment called WTF Crypto, where I would be like, what's good, people? I'm Lorae K. This is WTF Crypto. And today, NFTs are all-time high, right? And just do something fun like that. And the feedback that I got from people in social media was really what I saw was powerful. People said, keep making these videos. We love them. Don't stop doing it. And it was the feedback that
like getting the feedback.
That's when I was like, okay, I'm on to something now here. So I just carried on making content online. I don't do so much of the WTF crypto anymore at the moment because the events are just, but that definitely helps the personal brand in terms of building the credibility in the Web3 space and now doing the events. So,
wow, lovely. And now you are focused on events, and you're constantly doing events, and like, how do you curate those, and what's the whole procedure, and how about your team? And
yeah, absolutely. So I started off very lean, and I'm a fan of the lean startup method. I think you don't need 500k and 3 years to build an MVP, right? Just do it with whatever you have and just start.
Yeah.
So we started with just doing the events online on Google Meets. We would just have investors come in and see.
I missed that part.
Right, you missed that part. They were online, and we would have 3 founders come and pitch on Google Meets, and then and then do some introductions that way. So we expanded. Our first one was at Google, and you were a judge at the second Google event. So from, it started off in that lean way, that MVP of, okay, we're doing this like online webinar, and now it's expanded actually more into an accelerator. So through doing the virtual demo days and working with the founders, I found that actually some of them were not very good at pitching. Some of them as well were just not in the right stage for fundraising, actually, and they weren't aware of it. So you realize
they need some support.
They need some support and education. So now we have an accelerator where we have one segment called the audition, where we have 30 founders. They come and pitch 60 seconds to five investors, and the investors give them feedback. And that feedback is critical because it kind of it lets them know, actually, are you ready for fundraising? And they can observe themselves among their peers to see actually, where they are compared to others. And then outside of that, we do workshops, maybe 6 in a group where we coach them one-on-one. And then after we have the large showcase, which is, like a kind of big marketing funnel for those who come through.
In the events and in founders and entrepreneurs you help with or mentor and help, are you still focused on only Web3, crypto, or
definitely I like to say emerging tech, because I think sometimes when you say Web3, people get a little bit like, oh, we don't do, crypto, oh, it's scary, right? But actually my idea of Web3 is the next age of the internet.
Okay.
It's an immersive experience of the digital world in the physical world. So anything that contributes towards that, I would see as Web3, including fintech, because Web3 as well is decentralized finance. It's huge. So.
And in today's world, personal branding is a big key asset. And I find myself talking about personal brands and becoming a key person of influence, usually. What does an authentic personal brand mean to you?
Oh, an authentic personal brand is everything. I think authenticity can't be faked, right? In the name of it, right? And I think, I have people come to me and they look at the brand and they say, like, how can I build, something similar? How can I do it?
Don't build something similar.
Don't do something similar. Exactly. But it's about actually knowing who you are as a person, grounding yourself in that, and then understanding what skills you have, what talents you have can be of value to others, and then just really honing into that thing. And it can be anything. It can be anything. It can be your empathy. It can be your expertise in an area. It can just be something that you're really good at that other people are not. So it can be
knowing yourself, I think, is the biggest step. For people. And what mistakes do you see entrepreneurs make when trying to build visibility online?
Oh, do you know what? Nevşah, there's some people online and I love them. And, I've kind of started the journey with them in terms of Web3. And the number one mistake I see is them sharing too much online, right? I think with personal brands, you share enough, you share your personality, you share some aspects, but you don't need to share everything. Like we don't need to know like who you're dating every 5 seconds, right? We don't need to know it's your boyfriend's birthday and you're putting it out there and things like that. And then things didn't work out, because it becomes like your life becomes like this, like
not
series.
Everyone has to be an influencer, and I think focusing on your brand, your name, and who you are. Because everybody is a teacher, in my opinion. You're teaching. Brand is kind of like our teaching, our message to the world.
Exactly. It's what message do you want to
what are you standing for?
Right, but you don't have to be reality TV star on social media.
I got it. There's a slight difference between those two, and understanding that is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I agree. That was an amazing answer.
Yeah, thank you.
What signals tell you that a brand is truly resonating with its audience? Is it the likes? Is it the messages?
I think impressions are very important, but you know, we live in a bit of a bot world where people can kind of incentivize through.
Yeah. We can bot everything.
You can bot everything, right? You can monetize, you can incentivize people through money to get impressions. So impressions don't say anything. I would say in terms of its lasting impact on people, like, do people want to share the brand genuinely? Do people ask, you know, what's more for the brand? And how do those people with the brand encourage the creator to continue to creating, right? There's a kind of reciprocity, a kind of dance between the creator and the ones who it's being created for.
Yeah, what you say is interesting and very right, because we have a digital educational platform, and that has been going on over like 20 years now. And when people like certain content and when people like certain, like, you know, training packages or workshops or whatever, they tend to ask for more.
Right.
They tend to send emails and they tend to say, you know, we want to meet with her more and we want to spend more and we want more content on this.
Yeah.
So it's like,
you know that's
we know that they are engaged, and it's like they ask questions, they get engaged. When they don't like the content, they're just, you know, they don't hear from them.
But when they love it, it's like they need it. They want, if they don't have it, they're gonna feel the pain. So they're coming to you to make sure that you've cured their pain, right? And that you're continuing with it.
How do you see communities and networks? Because you're in a community business, in my opinion, and you're in a networking business. How do you see communities and networks shaping the next generation of financial leaders?
I think it's absolutely everything, especially...
And tech.
And tech, no, it's a very good question, especially because, you know, I'm very much into the spiritual, into the, you know, star signs and everything like this. So, you know, we've shifted actually very significantly from the Piscean age into the Aquarius age. Like
from my age.
Right. And you've seen, and right. Oh, was it your birthday suit?
Yes.
Recently? Okay, well, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
It was my daughter's. It was my daughter's birthday the other day. So, so we've shifted very much into more of the Aquarian age now. It's really having an effect on us, and the Piscean age is having less of an effect. And in the Aquarius age, it's all about technology. It's all about communities, but it's also about an individual expression. I think before we were kind of in the institutional, you know, with Pisces, it's kind of institutional. It's kind of like, you know, the schools, the churches, the big names of the big, like Ford and the big companies had influence about how we lived. Now it's very much about the individual influencer, peer-to-peer businesses, right? Like B&B.
One-to-one connections.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more about that. So very much so. I think it's all about building something that serves building something very niche and individual that serves in a community and has, you know, maybe like 150 fans, that natural network who absolutely love your product. And then those 150 people tell 3 people, and those 3 people tell 3 people, and those 3 people, and that's how that community grows. But it's less about thinking about millions and more about how do I create this niche individual thing that 150 people will love and tell others about.
I think we're at an age where, I mean, it's a period in our lives where, because of tech where it is, all the AI and everything that's going on, like bots and everything, people are now in the need for things more authentic and more real. That's why this is happening, like, you know, one-to-one and human-to-human and more events. I think because of what's happening with AI and robotics, I think we will have more events. We will have more time for events. We will have more time to spend time together. So we're kind of like going back. It's just like the symbol, you know, you're just expanding, and you're going. I think we're coming back to our humanity, and we're coming back to one-to-one relationship, because it's just too much.
It's too much. It's too much. No, it's funny.
And we'll just let the whole AI and robotics handle the too much.
Right. And we can all be grounded.
Simple. And I see, like, I think there will be more humans, more people in the farming industry as well, in events as well. soil and being
being
in nature,
grounded,
being grounded, being together, living simpler lives, because the rest will be handled.
That's it.
By
I see that vision.
Yeah. What role should experienced investors play in mentoring and supporting emerging talent in finance, Web3?
Well, this is a good question, right? Because there's always like this kind of joke in the venture capital and world that, investors invest in companies and then offer absolutely no support, right, to the startups, which it can be part of the reasons why investors invest in certain companies and individuals is that they want individuals who are go-getters, who are executors, who can go around. I think investors.
I don't want to deal with this.
You don't want to do it exactly. Exactly. It kind of is like that, right? You just want the business, you want the return. You don't want to be micromanaging them. But I think the best thing is to think about how can we partner with this individual, and how can we offer them more than just financial support? How can we offer them insights? How can we offer them introductions and networks?
They definitely need it.
Yeah.
I think startups and founders need VC advice and mentoring, a lot.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, especially the CEO.
Because those are two different worlds.
Yeah.
And they need to know what's happening there so that they can, that connection, that bridge is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Insights and just other networks, and sometimes just that kind of emotional support so they don't feel alone as well. I think there's quite a lonely journey actually in entrepreneurship. So I feel like it's just, in terms of investors coming in, it's just not just think about this as an investment, but think about this as a partnership. And, well, not necessarily that you're business partners, but you're at least their friend, right? You're at least someone that they can have someone believe in them to continue the journey.
And I what I think is fascinating is at one point VCs and the investors want the founders and entrepreneurs to be fully transparent and open and but the question is, are they or are we as investors creating that space for them to be transparent?
Right.
Because I think that's a big problem right now when looking at the relationship between founders and entrepreneurs, because I hear more and more, that, VCs keep on talking about founders, that, they're not transparent enough and they had this problem, but they didn't tell us, they didn't talk about it. Why didn't they talk about it? But it's also about the investor. It's like, did you create that space? Did you create that safe space? Or were you after, what did you do this year?
What are the returns this month? What are the metrics?
It's like, I think there is a responsibility. VCs have a responsibility of creating a space where founders can share themselves openly and ask for advice and ask for mentoring, because things will go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's no such thing as, in the startup world, things will definitely go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if the founder is left alone and they're dealing with the problem, they have to, they're either going to solve it, by themselves or they won't. And when they don't solve it, when we're, the investor isn't creating that space where they can ask for help, then things get worse. So it's like I think this is kind of like the most delicate.
And I think it's ventures is very male dominated industry. So I think a lot of that is from that masculine energy where it's like everything go, taking the time to actually see the humanity, see the person behind. Are you okay? Like, is everything, just taking that time to just nurture.
And also for the sake of your investment, it's like, as an investor, I would like to know if they have a problem, if I can help them in any way, because we don't want the problem. They don't want the problem. We don't want it. Founders, are trying to solve their problems, and we also want their problems to be solved. So the sooner they tell the VCs or the investors, the better. And like you said, the financial industry is very much male dominated. How have you navigated and reshaped that landscape? Because you also have a mission, I think, to reshape that with your energy and with the space you are.
Absolutely. I think that, if we want to build, ventures is a huge pioneering and influential business to be in, because you're literally in the space of creating the next everything that humans will do, right? You're the one that's backing these big companies that will shape how the next generation will be. So you know, I do find the industry can be quite like gated at times, and it can be quite like samey. But what you're looking at now is that, you know, especially in the venture space, emerging markets is such a buzzword, right, in the venture space. That's mostly because, you know, the Western world, or those markets that have done really well, they're kind of building on top of each other. It's like we've created a solution, and now we're creating a solution for that solution. And this solution also needs a solution, right? There's so much innovation as it is. It's like, actually,
just like the pharmaceutical industry.
Exactly, right. You've got this problem, and you've got a problem for this problem. It created a problem, now we've got something to solve that. So exactly. So now it's like, okay, instead of kind of like building on top of what's already been built, what about these places that, or people that haven't been built for, like tapping into that, right? And that's emerging markets, that's women, that's children, you know, traditionally the individuals who don't get seen in this masculine dominated world, right? And it can be kind of like, you know, passing deal flow around, friends, passing, you know, things around. And that's not reflective of the world that we live in, right? It's not reflective. I think especially as women, it's like, you know, we are the overseers of humanity, right? So I think for women especially, we want to be making sure that everything is seen, flowing, nurtured. And so I like to think that I bring that into the space, while also just focus on quality, right? Like as long as something has good quality, it has a purpose. And then beyond that as well is actually looking at companies that solve a purpose, right? Solves an actual problem. I don't necessarily want to see a problem that solves a problem or just makes things a little bit better than what's already out. So I'm looking for things that are innovative, things shaking things up and impacting humanity.
And those are the companies who grow faster than the other ones.
Exactly.
I agree. What leadership qualities do you believe are essential for the next generation of financial decision makers?
Oh, that's a really good question. Leadership, I think, well, I like to look at leadership in terms of a very wise man. His name was King Solomon. So I kind of get all of my leadership around him. So his whole thesis is about wisdom. So someone who's very wise, and also a leader who is a leader of leaders. So someone who can bring in other talents, other people who are doing amazing things, and not dominating so much, not being like a dominator or a tyrant, but actually being able to look at the skills of other people, or looking at where does this person have an expertise, and helping them to nurture that and build that up. So I think, you know, definitely in terms of the finance world as well, we are changing. It's very apparent with crypto, and you know, stable coins is a huge narrative at the moment. But it's having a leader that can think outside of legacy systems and start thinking more into this decentralized peer-to-peer economy that it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable. And that's why institutions like BlackRock, you know, Visa, all these big institutions, they're now starting to look at crypto and stable coins and this.
And in the future nowadays, a lot of people in the finance world started speaking about the fact that we won't need money in 10 years, 15 years time.
Interesting. I'm not so sure. I mean, money is a biblical...
What's your thoughts about that?
Money is a biblical concept, right? Like it's been around for a while, you know, even before biblical concepts, it was gold, right? So there's always been this kind of transaction, and how do we quantify transaction? And even before gold, it was, okay, we're going to trade, you know, I'm going to buy your daughter for my son to marry with 15 cows or whatever, right? And it was just so there's always going to be this, as long as humans can communicate with one another, and as long as I have something that you want,
there is a value exchange.
There's going to be a value exchange, right?
Either with money or with time or with energy,
something somehow. Right? So I don't think money is going away. You know, we are moving into this,
but maybe it's going to be in a different form.
It'll be in a different form. Yeah, I don't think Elon Musk did say something about, I've forgotten exactly what he said.
The idea is with AI and what's happening in technology, we will, like what we are doing right now, I'm shooting a podcast, and this is like optional, you know, and when things are done with AI and robotics and everything, even me doing this will be live, will be optional, because AI can do this for us.
True.
It's like,
it's true. Yeah, it can.
My AI twin and your AI twin could do a podcast together in
it's true. It's
2 or
very
3
true.
years' time.
It's very true.
Which might be much interesting than this one.
Right.
So then what do we do? What does the real Lorae and the real Nevşah do?
Well, that's something.
And it's like, and then what's going to happen when we don't need to work for, because when the workforce, it's like when the workforce is AI and robotics, and when we don't need to do stuff, that's why people are saying that then you don't need to pay anyone, and then the governments must find a way where, and then, you know, maybe we'll go back to, not maybe, for me, in my opinion, I think it's for certain, in at least, you know, most in 15 years' time, I think we're going back to farms and living in farms and being in nature.
Yeah.
And, you know, human life will be more going back to the natural.
Right. I think that's definitely happened. I feel that as well. Actually, just in terms of the like vision and just seeing where things are going at the moment. The machine is kind of,
I mean,
doesn't need people anymore.
Yeah, the question would be, if you didn't need to work, how would you be spending your day?
Well, I would be spending it frolicking in the forest with my daughter, probably doing wild women stuff.
So you'd probably be doing that.
Making music, bringing people together, cooking, you know, sharing the community, doing things like that. I think, definitely, you know, certain systems are no longer relevant. Obviously, there's always has to be some sort of understanding of value exchange. And, you know, there's this concept of energy exchange. Maybe we'll exchange energy rather than money.
It's definitely gonna be in a different form.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's no coincidence that this whole, you know, crypto and everything.
Exactly.
It's like, you know, it is unstoppable.
Yeah.
Now. It's like we're moving to the next phase.
Exactly.
And I think everything that's happening around the world, the war and everything that's happening, and the signs of the capitalist system breaking.
Still trying to hold
it's like
still trying to
there's
hold
something
on.
Definitely happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 5 years' time, we'll see.
Yeah.
And also with women, what structural changes are still needed for to create more opportunities for women in the finance and investment, which is kind of like my hot topic. Because,
absolutely. I mean, I loved your book, Next Level Woman. It was great to just take that time to actually recognize that women are different from men, and we do live in a man-made world, and everything is structured around that masculinity. So I think it's more about having more conversations, having books like yours, having women like you who are like, hey, like, women, we are here, we do things differently. Like I always like to say, you know, men work on a 24-hour cycle and women work on a 28-day cycle, right? And it's very important to recognize that this is it's true. Like, you know, and it's not just, you know, the sun as well works on a 24-hour cycle, and the moon works on a 28-day cycle, right? So there's different energies going on, and it's about recognizing, okay, the sun's done great, right? The masculine energy is done great for where we are, but actually the moon is also very necessary. The feminine energy is very necessary, and it works in its own way. So how do we, sort of just worshipping the sun, how do we also appreciate and make the moon more prominent in our lives?
Exactly. Now, aside from all the, you know, business questions, what are you currently refining in your life?
Oh, this is a very good question, because this year I said this is my year of organization and structures and organization, structures, and systems. That's my thing right now. That's my thing. So I think I've, you know, being a creative individual, I've been someone who's very much like, you know, just pulling in, like, okay, how am I going to just create this, and just pulling in things and doing things like that. And now that the brand is expanding, the business is expanding, that doesn't work anymore, just kind of being whimsical about stuff. You need systems and teams and methods that you can repeat time after time, that have the same results. So this is my year of just being grounded and building systems.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. It was lovely. Thank you. I enjoyed every moment of it. Time just flipped, huh? With the conversation.
It did. I love the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you, Lorae.
Thank you,
and
Nevşah.
I enjoy your presence, the space you're holding and what you're creating. I can also see that you're very true to yourself, your brand.
Thank
you.
You
know, you're creating something authentic. I love it. I love the whole point. And one final question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to young women aspiring to build careers in finance and in tech?
I'd say go for it, because there's not enough women in tech and finance. And I think sometimes women shy away from those industries. They think, oh, it's not for me. I think, why would it not be for you? Money is definitely for women. Actually, I think money is more for women than it is for men.
Yes, I agree. It is actually being used by men to go towards women.
Exactly. Everything
we're like, we use it better.
Exactly. We use it much better. So I think definitely, just finance is a girl thing too. It's not just for men, and just getting more education around
I love it. Finance is a girl thing. I love it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And remember that more.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans of, because that's kind of like the right now, especially in London, that's what's the hot right now. Are you planning to maybe also do some events for women only? Women in finance.
Do you know what? We have tried to do some women events, like bringing women together, women in the space. They haven't necessarily taken off so much. And that might be because I have been more focused on like the masculine energy, like the deals, getting those kind of things through. But I have consciously and intentionally been like, okay, inviting more women into the spaces. I find that a lot of women are in the kind of marketing or business development side of Web3 and not necessarily like the deal structuring side of things. So I'm growing into that more, but I definitely want to feel more of a presence of women in the space.
Yeah, maybe later.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Nevşah. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of our listeners and anybody watching us on YouTube. Remember to become a member, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.